Hello and welcome everyone to the Tower Project. Very special announcement for you guys today. As was promised, I am here to officially announce the opening of the Medieval 2 Total War Divine Right of Kings Siege Tournament. Now, I'm showing you here the official tournament document, and I'm going to go through this briefly, as well as take you guys through the Discord that we have set up, and I'm going to link you to the Total War Center forum post that I'm going to post immediately after this video is uploaded, actually immediately after I'm recording it here. So that way it'll be ready to go once you guys see it, once the video is uploaded. So, very excitingly, scroll through the table of contents here. I just want to get to the introduction. Very excitingly, we have organized and are getting ready to begin an extremely competitive, extremely fun, community-guided, community-based Medieval 2 Total War Siege tournament. And here's the introduction, talking about how this fall there's going to be a Siege tournament going on for Medieval 2, trying to breathe some life back into the community, breathe some life back into the game. So let me talk very briefly about the layout, the situation, and everything that's going on, as fun as it is to see me scrolling through a Word document here. So here's the format and layout of the tournament. And as you can see on the screen, everything is laid out very organized, very professionally in this document. At least as professionally as I've been able to get it. I could format it more, but... oh, great. Steam notifications. I could have formatted it more, but I think it is more than is necessary for what we have going on here. So the tournament is a 2v3 siege tournament, which means there are 2 defenders and 3 attackers. And they're going to be attacking castles, fortresses, and citadels throughout the game. There's going to be 2 phases of the tournament. There's what we are calling league games and playoff games. So the league games are where each team plays each other team. Just like if you played high school sports, you would go, like for example, I played football in high school. So you would go and you would play each team, and then you would have your record, your win-loss record, that would determine whether or not you go into the playoffs. It's the same thing. So with the league game, each team is going to play each other team. We're planning to have 8 teams for the tournament. We could do it with less if we had to, but I'm not going to let it go over 8, just because that's probably going to be too much to handle. And then you're going to get teams that can't get online, that don't want to do their matches in time, and people getting lazy and not showing up and all that kind of stuff. So at least for the first tournament, I want to keep the numbers somewhat limited, and that is going to be capped to 8 teams. There are 5 teams total right now that we have already set up, registered, good to go. I myself am part of one of them, and I'll go through the other rosters later on here in the video. So league games, each team plays every other team, and they play them twice. That's the difference between this and high school football. Football, you only play them one time, but in this you play them twice. One time attacking, one time defending. And you can read some of the details of that in this paragraph here. That is on the top, highlighted now. And in the playoff games, it is going to be a best of 3. So I believe we're going to take either the top 4. I think we're going to take the top 4 teams of 8. If we have 8 teams, the top 4 teams are going to advance into the playoff games. And so they'll have the semifinal match, and then the third place match, and then the final match between the two teams there. There's no monetary reward for the tournament, but as the name suggests, the Divine Right of Kings, there is ultimate bragging rights. As of course it is the Divine Right of Kings who were mandated by God to rule. It is their right to rule, and it is not to be questioned by the plebeians or the peasants. And so whoever wins the tournament, whichever team wins, does have ultimate bragging rights. Now, in the playoff games, it is a best of 3, like we said, and same thing with the league games. The first 2 rounds are going to take place in a castle. And the main reason we're doing that is for time considerations. Since each team is going to be playing each other team, and we're going to have 1 round per week, every team is going to be required to play at least 2 games per week. That's doing their round versus another team every week. We will allow teams to do 2 rounds in a week if they can organize it, or even more if they want to. I don't see a reason to cap that. But each team is going to is going to be required to play their match against the other team within a time limit of 1 week span, just to keep the tournament progressing. And we did it in a castle, so those initial matches can go a little faster to minimize the maximum time constraint that we're putting on players. So really, most people already play more than 2 or 3 games per week. People that are serious Medieval 2 players. So all we're requiring is 2 games a week or 3 games a week for the playoff round. So we're really trying to keep the minimum weekly participation level as low as possible, just so so it doesn't completely take over your family life, your life outside of the game, your school life, work life, whatever. We've organized the tournament in such a way where it keeps the work-life balance or the game-life balance as healthy as possible. So rounds 1 and 2 will take place in a castle, and talks about some of the details there. Towers are always level 1. We're going to use a random number generator to determine the culture of the castle, whether it be Northern, Southern European, or Middle Eastern. And if there is a third round necessary, that will take place in a fortress. And so the deciding factor of who is going to win, who is going to get to defend versus attack, is based on your score in the league games. So whichever team had the best win-loss record from the league games will get to determine if they want to attack or defend in that third round. If teams have an equal score, then the deciding factor goes into who won the battle, who won their battle of the 1-1 record there that led to round 3, who won most decisively. So if one team only lost 70% of their army to win the battle, and the other team lost 85% to win the battle, then the team that only lost 70% would be able to determine if they want to attack or defend. So that is how the third round is decided, and it goes the exact same way in the playoffs up until the finals. When we get to the finals, rounds 1 and 2 will be played in a fortress, and if a third round is necessary, it'll take place in a citadel. That is the only variation, but league games, you're only playing twice, so there's no third round tiebreaker. It's just we roll the random number generator. Let's say it pops up. It's a Middle Eastern castle. Team 1 attacks in the Middle Eastern castle, and then they flip it around. Team 1 defends in the Middle Eastern castle, and then they get their win-loss record updated accordingly. Teams will consist of 3 players, and we do allow a maximum of 5 players. The reason we do that is so you can have some substitute players. So let's say that one of your main guys can't make it that week because he's going on vacation or he's having too much stuff going on with his life. Then one of your other players can go and sub in for him. But assuming you have a 3-person team, you can choose freely which 2 you want to defend when you're up defending, and then, of course, all 3 of them would attack when you're attacking. If you have more than 3, you have full choice to choose which of the 4 or 5 members get to attack and defend. You can sit people out for multiple rounds. You can have everybody play the same. It doesn't matter. It's your team. You get, just like a sports meet, you get to choose who goes on the field as a team. Of course, it'd be the coach who chooses, who plays and who doesn't. But for the purposes of illustration, the team will get to decide who plays. I'm not imposing any restrictions on who plays and who doesn't. And so scrolling down here, it has just another summary of league games, playoff games. And then there are some ways in which we're going to ensure that rules are officiated and followed and that the games are played properly. This is through issuing strikes. So one of the big issues is delay of game. Obviously, we don't want games to go on for 5 hours because someone's running around the map with 1 unit of cavalry and they don't want to fight and just trying to do that until the other team admits defeat so they can win or whatever. So we are giving the tournament sanctioned officials, which I'm going to make sure there's one on every team, so that way there's at least one playing in each game. These are people who know the rules well, who I trust well to uphold the rules, one, of course, being myself, and who are going to enforce them impartially. And so if they see something going on in the battle that is in accordance with one of these strikes, they are enabled to initiate a strike to a player. Strikes can include breaking the rules, delay of game, and then there was one other one here, unsportsmanlike conduct if you're just cussing someone out or something. But Have good playing etiquette, follow the rules, and you'll be just fine. Some definitions for the tournament, what's a round, match, section, etc. And then we get to the rules page, and I'm going to go very briefly over this. I'm not going to cover this in as much detail as I did the things prior. So it gives you the funds there, and artillery rules, cavalry rules, gun rules. I'm not gonna state all these. You guys can read through these. A couple interesting things. We are not allowing spam in the tournament, which is defined here in the rules as more than 5 of the same unit. So you can't just bring a full army of dismounted conquistadors, right? You gotta play with at least a somewhat balanced army. Now, if you did bring an army of all conquistadors, you would probably lose. But just for the sake of trying to keep everything balanced and organized, keep it to 5 units of the same type. Now, if you have units that have the same stats but a different name, like Pavis Crossbowmen and Pavis Crossbow Militia, that are the exact same unit but have different names, you can bring 5 of each of those. As long as it's a different unit card, you're good. So you could bring 5 Pavis Crossbowmen and 5 Pavis Crossbow Militia if your faction had both of those units and you were allowed to. One other thing I want to touch on while we're going through the rules is the faction choice rules. One thing we're doing to make this tournament a little interesting is, like I mentioned, there are 2 phases of the tournament, league games and playoffs. You are not allowed to play the same faction, or I'll put it this way. You are allowed to play each faction once in both the league games and the playoff games. So if you've played as Spain in a league game, you cannot play as Spain again until you get to a playoff game. So you're allowed to play each faction once in each section of the tournament. So each player is, of course, going to have to play. There's 7 other teams, so you're going to have to play 14 sieges in the league game. You're going to have to play 14 sieges, which means you're going to have to play 14 different factions. So that basically prevents. The reason we're doing that is to prevent the tournament from being Spain versus Venice. Spain, Venice, Portugal, and France is what everybody picks every time. And I do give in the rules above here, we are going to allow some very small, very balanced advantages, at least from what we can determine is balanced, to some of the weaker factions to give players incentives to play Poland or to play the Timurids or Aztecs or like Scotland or the Byzantine Empire, factions that you normally wouldn't play in a competitive siege battle. They get some small bonuses that you can see and read through up here, just to allow players to choose them. But you only have to play as 14 factions, and you can. I believe there's 21 factions in the game, 20 or 21, and 14 of them are reasonably competitive. I mean, you're not going to have to play as the Aztecs. But you do have to play a different faction each round, so you're not just spamming Venice and Spain. And it also gives another level to the strategy. So I know I get to play Venice and Spain and Portugal and France and England and some of the other, the Moors. When am I going to play those factions? Am I going to play them against the teams that I think I can beat to make sure we win, or am I going to save the best factions for the best teams? Adds another layer of strategy to the tournament that I think you guys will really enjoy. And then we have a section talking about sending in the battle results and battle replays. Every battle, at least the good battles, will be broadcast on my channel. Of course, with 8 teams, it's going to be basically impossible to broadcast every battle. But the interesting ones and the ones people want to see, I'll make sure get broadcasted. And we are in the process of beginning to talk with other YouTubers about potentially co-hosting some of the battles. We're just going to see what the interest level out there is. If there's not any, it'll all still be on the Tower Project. If there is, we'll definitely try to get the word out there as well. And then we go into some rules about quitting and admitting defeat, and how games are going to be resolved if someone lags out or if there's a desync. Basically, if you rage quit, that's a strike. If you intentionally alt-tab or halt the game or something, that's a strike. And of course, if you just refuse to admit defeat and you have one unit of horse archers left, and you're just running them around the map to avoid uh, to avoid losing the battle, then the battle is going to end there via delay of game strike. So does talk about some balancing issues there, just to keep the games fun and to keep them balanced. And if the game gets desynced, we'll rehost it. And then we get into kind of a procedural section here, talking about joining matches, game starting procedures, picking factions, declaring factions, sanctioning the match, and then I go into some useful resource links down here. And these I actually want to cover a little bit, because these are some things you guys definitely need to check out if you're participating or you're following the tournament, or even if just you're a veteran Medieval 2 player or a casual Medieval 2 player. These are awesome resources for you guys. The first one is the faction and unit stat table, otherwise known as the Faust guides for Medieval 2. Let me just pull these up really quick for you just to show you here. So this is the Faust guide just to show you what it is. So faction unit stat table, and what it does is it takes you through all the rosters of the factions, and it gives you all these breakdowns of what the morale is, primary attack, secondary attack, breakdown of the defense, breakdown of the missile damage, breakdown of the range. And so it gives you a lot of information that you can't see in the game stats. And then it has a legend down here at the bottom of the page. And it has that for every faction here. And there's also one for the Kingdoms expansions. But I just wanted to show you guys that resource there. And secondly is the Medievalopedia, which is basically a collection of the Faust guides and some other resources. And it's basically an extended player manual for Medieval 2 Total War. Has some really good resources in there. There's a multiplayer guide on the Total War Center forums. Just talks about some different things with multiplayer and kind of player etiquette with that. That's a good resource there. And our official tournament Discords page, which you guys are more than encouraged to join, even if you're not participating in the tournament. Come on there, hang out with us, participate in the discussions. We'll have chats and events and everything going on there, so definitely encourage you guys to go there. And then some alternative YouTube channels with good Medieval 2 Total War content. I'm sure everybody knows about Pixelated Apollo and Legend of Total War. They've got some good Medieval 2 Total War content. Of course, if you're looking for the best Medieval 2 Total War content, go to the Tower Project, which will be the channel of which you are watching this video, in case you didn't know that. And finally here is a section on how to play in the tournament. And most players will receive a written invitation. Those 5 teams that we've already started with have been the teams with written invitations, and some have been auxiliarily invited into the game. This is just a little guide that talks to you about how you can join the tournament if you want to. And that is the tournament document here. So the last thing I want to do is take you guys, this is our official tournament Discord page. So this is the Divine Right of Kings tournament Discord server. You can see we've got some players already signed up to the Discord. These are those 5 teams that are already registered, with a few people who haven't quite showed up to the Discord yet. But I just wanted to give you a quick walkthrough here. I'm not going to show you the general chat, just because the people that join the Discord can see the general chat, and try to keep some stuff private if people don't want to see that. So, link to the tournament document. There's both a downloadable link and a Google Doc, so if you don't have Microsoft Word, you can still read the document. And here's the roster of teams that we have so far. So, Team 1, myself, Lavernicus, and Granticus, and you can read the rest from there. And the so far sanctioned tournament sanctioned officials. We probably will have some more before the end of before the tournament starts. And tournament YouTube channel, which is the channel you're watching this video on, and player applications page. This is where you would drop your application. If you are coming from the Total War Center forum page here, please ignore the Steam notifications. Those are always awesome. And of course, when you go and you make an effort to turn off the Steam notifications, you never get any messages. But the one time you think, no one's going to message me, I'll just leave them on. Then they just bombard you the entire time. Live tournament results once the tournament starts. Results will go into that page. Frequently asked questions, tournament questions, and memes and jokes, etc. And I did want to make sure I pointed out this one, which was pretty funny. Just another day in Byzantium, and then it's got one of the Byzantines, one of the saints there who is apparently cooking a dragon, and fighting sin works up an appetite. So pretty nice meme there. So when you join the Discord, please make sure that you bring your best Medieval 2 and general medieval related memes to the Discord server for everyone's mutual enjoyment. So the last thing I want to do on this video, which is already longer than it probably should be, like I said, I'm working on the forum post here for the Total War Center forums, and that is going to go up immediately after I finish recording this video. Basically, I'm going to copy and paste the video link into this and then hit post. So you guys will be able to check out this extended post here on the Total War Center forums. Link, of course, will be in the description of this video. As far as the tournament start date, on the document, it has it as August 1st, 2019. That is a very tentative date. The reason behind that, by the end of May, we're hoping to have all 8 teams collated together and ready to go. And then I want to give people at least the month of June to kind of practice with their team, get organized with their team, get ready to go. And then either July or August will start the tournament. So August 1st is a very tentative date. It could happen before, could happen after. I will, as soon as we have an announcement date for the start of the tournament, I will make another video, do a post on Discord, post on the discussion forums. And with that, I want to say thank you everyone for watching. And I really hope you guys follow the Divine Right of Kings Siege tournament that's coming up on Medieval 2. I think it'll show a lot of awesome players, a lot of awesome content that'll be really enjoyable for you guys. And I think it'll bring a lot of life back into Medieval 2 as a game. So sincerely hope you guys follow it. Check out the Discord page, Total War Center forum. Stay tuned to the Tower Project. And I will see you guys next time once we have some more details with the tournament, with the tournament as it progresses. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great night.